Today we're going to be trying out some new products. I know a lot of you are excited to see them. We are using today Detail Co Rinseless. So this is Nemesis Rinseless Wash. It is a 16-ounce bottle. Rinseless wash is designed to mimic everything a classic bucket wash can do with a mix of polymer and surfactant technology. 256:1 dilution for the ultimate rinseless wash experience, 64:1 for glass cleaning and drying aid. So I'm going to mix this up as 256:1. We're going to fill up my sprayer with it as well. We're going to use this to rinseless wash the entire car, this Mercedes-Benz. There's some bug splatters here. There's, it's kind of like crunchy. We have a lot of sand in our area. We have a lot of dump trucks that drive up and down the highway. They drop sand. And just, there's a lot of dust and wind and stuff like that. So the car isn't dirty. It's not muddy. We didn't take it mud bogging, but it is a little bit sandy. So we're gonna go over it with this. We're gonna see how it feels. We're gonna test out the slickness. We're gonna see the smells and, you know, all of that. We're also going to be using this, which is the Detail Co Nemesis sponge, which I can already tell you, I like it. I mean, obviously I have to use it, but just the color, the cut, how it feels. I like that there's not a divider in the center. So you could use all sides of this if you theoretically wanted to. I'm kind of the guy that likes to use just the flat sides. But I like the light blue color. The same reason I actually like the Phoenix EOD green sponge is, you know, it's easy to see the dirt on. All right, so I'm gonna stop talking. We're gonna mix up this bucket. We're gonna try this out. Now this is a 5-gallon Yeti bucket. We're going to use 2 ounces of product. So when you're doing 256:1, just note that there are 128 ounces of water in a gallon. So if I put 2 ounces in here, that means I can put 4 gallons of water in my bucket. And 4 gallons, a little bit more than you need for this type of wash. But we're also gonna fill up our spray bottle, and I like having a little bit extra. So let's put it in there, and then we're gonna fill this up with the hose. I've been asked before about this hose. This does use deionized water. It comes out of my tanks right there, which are after my DI filter. If you're interested in seeing my water system, there was a video on that. Got some foam. It's pretty interesting. A lot of the rinseless that I've used in the past, they don't have a lot of foam. Now, there was a conversation in one of the Facebook groups. There was a mention that they're going to add a little bit more foaming agent, like to decrease the amount of foam a little bit in the next batch, but that's okay. So we're gonna try this out. Obviously, this is a product that's going to change over time, like most of them do. I've gotta say, I'm becoming a bit of a rinseless convert. I don't know. I always liked the foam. I always liked the pressure washer. I always liked doing it outside, but there's just something about, you know, I got done with work. I'm gonna hang out in the garage for a little bit. I mean, I got my slippers on. Like, this is ridiculous, but that's what you can do with rinseless. So that's pretty cool. So here I have a Solo sprayer, it's a Solo 260. I also often use a Marilex pump sprayer. These are pretty cool. I get these from Obsessed Garage. There is, IK makes a sprayer too that's electric that's supposed to come out soon. I believe that one is a 2-liter, so that might actually be a little bit better for this. This is a 1-liter sprayer. And 1 liter is usually enough, but like if you had an SUV, it probably wouldn't be enough to do a good pre-soak. This is not something you necessarily need to do, but I certainly like doing it because it starts to break down bugs, whatever you have. Just starts to, the surfactants in your rinseless start to break down, and it just makes everything a little bit easier, a little bit less effort with the sponge, a little bit less manual agitation that you need to do. So I like to just kind of spray everything really liberally. And also, I have plenty of product, right? Because I mixed up 4 gallons, which is way more than what I needed. So you might be asking, why are you trying Detail Co first? Why not Clean by Pan the Organizer? Everybody wants to see Clean. Well, I'll be honest with you, I screwed up when I placed my order. So I placed this order on House of Rags on their release day, and it was one of those things where I was waiting for this store to open for an extended period of time, and I was a little excited. Got up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, went and placed an order for all of this stuff, and inadvertently I missed one of Pan's products, which is their ceramic sealant, their spray sealant, which would be like the drying aid product, right? And I like to use systems together because I figure that this rinseless is different than that rinseless, is different than that rinseless, is different than that rinseless. So at least for my first go, I like to use the products that the person who made them intended them to work with, and make sure that that's not the best option before I just immediately try something different. So I have Detail Co's rinseless, and I have Detail Co's spray sealant, and we will try that today as part of this, but I don't have Clean by Pan. Now, Eddie from the House of Rags was nice enough to get me a bottle of it, even though they're sold out. So I do have a bottle of Clean sealant coming, but it's probably not going to be here. It's going to ship tomorrow. My guess is it'll be here Thursday or Friday, because I didn't realize that I was missing it. Check that out. Well, actually, I'll show you this again because I didn't show it well on camera. But the sponge is perfectly clean, and it had a nice brown spot on it. So again, I do like the sponge. It's a little bit firmer than what I'm used to, but I like that actually. It allows you to get into the corners, these like nooks and crannies a little bit better. Yeah, it's really nice. And the blue color, I like the safety of the light colors personally. That's just me. It's not that I don't trust the chemicals, it's just that, cars can be dirty. And you could pick something up inadvertently and end up with, I don't know, a giant yellow streak on your sponge. So having a sponge that is a light color allows me to just periodically glance at it and see if there's something stuck in it, like some sand or dirt, so that I'm not dragging it all over the car. I'm going a little bit further with a single side of the sponge than I normally do because I'm looking for it to change color. I'm looking for it to pick up dirt. Normally I would do one panel and flip. Let's try to get this dirty. All right, how's the whole bottom of the car? See what that looks like. Stick it in here. Same side. If you don't believe me, there's the other side. Did a great job. So, I'm kind of bouncing all over the place trying to get the sponge dirty. Just kind of continue down the side of the car. I kind of like the foaminess. I'm not used to that in a rinseless product, but I honestly kind of like it. I've tried to make my Marilex, I have a Marilex axle foamer, but a lot of rinseless doesn't really foam very well. Like Hero doesn't foam very well. So I've tried to do that before, not because you necessarily need the foam, but because I feel like the foam shows where you've been and where you're going. That's why I like the foam cannon when you're washing a car with a pressure washer. It's like, oh, I did that portion of the car already, and I know that I don't have to go over it again because I already did it. Versus, I'm just bouncing around the car like a pinball, trying to make my blue sponge black because it's good for the camera. This car is fairly clean, but yeah, I do really like the foaming action. That's kind of cool. I honestly hope they don't change it too much. A lot of times people make comments or complain because it's different, but different isn't always worse. Different can often be better. That's why I like experiencing these things. You know, these companies released their products, and the House of Rags pulled all these brands in that previously weren't in the United States, like Zvizzer and Biobombs, and Detail Co obviously is their own in-house brand. Clean, which is a new product line from Pan. And I don't know, for a couple $100 you can kind of try one of everything. And I'm gonna buy chemicals anyway, right? I'm gonna wash my car. So let's try something new. Let's see how it is. And I kind of said this on one of the videos previously, but like, or maybe I wrote it in the comments section somewhere, Facebook, somewhere. But I've tried a lot of products this year. I want to guess somewhere in the 100 range between Labro and DIY and ADS and Car Pro and Fine Lab and Koch Chemie and honestly, and Purist. Of all of them, I had a bad experience with literally one product. And even that, I don't even know that it wasn't my fault. I still have it on the shelf. I will try it again. Hopefully on somebody else's car though. All right, so let's start talking about the rinseless. So what do we care about? Well, we care about our sponge being clean. We care about the release of dirt. So it obviously does an excellent job with that. We care about the breakdown of debris and the effort required to clean the vehicle. You can see the amount of pressure that I'm putting here. I'm literally just gliding this across the car, no downward pressure whatsoever. Even things like bug splatters and, you know, I had these like yellow spots on the sponge and red spots on the sponge that were clearly from bug guts, and I didn't even have to rub at them. So that's good. I mean, clearly it's got a high level of surfactants in it, right? A high level of chemicals that are breaking stuff down. I like the foam. The foam is different, but I honestly like it. The smell is very good. It's pleasant. It's not very strong. I don't know how to describe it. It's more cologne than it is flowers, but I don't know what the actual scent is. But I like it. It's definitely, it's not a bad experience using it, you know? I don't really care if something has a smell, but it's nice when it does, especially if it's a good one. We're not getting a lot of streaks on the glass, which is cool. You can see that it's kind of cleaning right off. And this car was pretty wet when I started with this gauntlet. This is only a 16 by 27 gauntlet, it's the medium size gauntlet. I don't really love the big one because on a small car like this, you end up accidentally tapping the ground with it. And you're introducing risk to your car. So I would rather just grab 2 or 3 of the small ones, or medium ones. Use that instead. This does a great job on the glass. Not a lot of streaks. A little bit here and there. But that could also be, you know, the materials that it's breaking down. There's still something suspended in this, right? Because we applied this with a sponge. We hope the sponge picks up all the dirt, but the water or liquid that it leaves behind does contain something in it. So really what we're looking for is, does it scratch the crap out of the car? Does it leave a bunch of swirls? If it does leave spots or haziness, is it easy to just go back and wipe it off? I'd say the answer to all of those things is favorable. It smells good. It breaks everything down. Not seeing a lot left behind. So we got all the heavy off. We'll hit some of these areas like the windshield just a second time. Oh. So I don't know if you watched my last video or not, but I talked about the Bio Bombs Bevy Grape Bar, the Bio Bar. I just opened up the door and got a whiff of it. It's the kind of the first time, just gonna go to the office today. It's the first time that it's really good. It's a good scent, and it's not strong. It's just like pleasant. Man, they really got that right, Bio Bombs. The scent's great, don't get me wrong. They have a lot of good scents, I'm sure. 2 out of 2 scents that I've tested have been great, but it's really the amount, you know? It's the fact that it's not in your face. Like, I don't need my scents to just be like brutal and unapologetic. I need them to be livable. I don't want my head to hurt and my throat to be sore when I, drive a half an hour to the office because I just had this scent that was punching me in the face the whole trip. So I like it. I like it a lot. And I like this. This is really good. Starting from the beginning, the bottle's cool. I like the design. I think they look good. I like the fact that this is like a translucent, but it's really dark. It's really darkly tinted. Kind of like Armor Detail Supply. I like Armor bottles as well. You can kind of tell the amount of the fluid, but not the color of the fluid. So it's kind of cool. I think it'll look good on the shelf. It's like the ketchup bottle analogy that I've made in the past. Heinz sells those ketchup bottles that are red. And they do that so that they always look full in the restaurant, right? When you sit down at the table, you look at it, it's full. It's always full. So it is the full ketchup bottle on your shelf, even when it's not full. The pop tops were an interesting choice. I've never received pop tops from another brand before. I actually like it a lot. It was a cool idea. It gives you a nice way to dispense it into your bucket, into your measuring bottle, into whatever you use to make up your rinseless. And I think that's cool. It's a new idea. Pan did it too, obviously, but all the other brands, DIY, ADS, P&S, every other rinseless I have, there's, 10 of them here. None of them gave me a pop top. I kind of like that. I think a really good way to describe Nemesis would actually be that it's very clean, which is interesting because the brand of Pan's products is clean. This one is Detail Co. But it's like stuff came off very effortlessly. The sponge released very well, but the car's like squeaky. It's like grabby, even though this car is coated, it's just very, very clean. It feels very clean. It's like when you just finished washing your hands with some Dawn dish liquid and it's like very, very clean. I think clean versus protection, it's kind of a choice. They do mention that you could use this as a drying aid, or you could use Nemesis as a drying aid at 64:1, so that might be an interesting thing to try out as well. What I'm playing with here is ceramic sealant, which they call Infinity, and it works fairly well. What Eddie told me is that it actually builds So when you're applying it, you know, and he didn't tell me what to say or anything, but he just sent me a message and he's like, hey, heads up, we haven't released a video on how to use this yet, but just so you know, when you're using it, you don't want to spray it on the panel of a dry car or you're going to hate me. He actually said, you're going to hate me, you're going to hate my wife, you're going to hate everybody. He said, what you want to do is you want to spray it on a wet car and rinse it off, or you want to spray it on a dry rag, wipe it on, and then immediately buff it off. So that's what I'm doing. Now, obviously, it's not written on the bottle. I don't love that, right? I don't want my experience to be different than somebody else's, but both Jamie and Eddie and House of Rags have YouTube channels, so I'm assuming there will be instructions on the YouTube channels. And there's honestly probably instructions on the site. I didn't check them out. So they might be there too. On the bottle, it just says, use neat for base coat protection, 1-to-1 for drying aid or topper. And actually, I'm using it as a drying aid straight. So I'm not following those instructions either. That's fair, but it does work well. Now, I will say that if you apply it and you don't go over it and buff it off with a dry towel, you get a streak. You probably see that here. We get a streak. Even if I wait a second and buff it, that streak doesn't really go away. But if I hit it again with the wet side, it immediately wipes that streak off. So it's like you can reactivate it, kind of like a coating when you're first applying a coating. Let's see how that did. Yeah, see that streaked like crazy, spraying it on the car. And that's kind of what he said would happen. He's like, it dries real fast. But if you spray a little bit more on the towel and you hit it a second time, it does wipe right off. But he said that it builds a film. And the point of this is that you can add more and more and more protection if you want to. You can make it build on itself, which is kind of interesting. It's certainly effective. It might not be the easiest to use, just again, being honest. OG drying aid, which is kind of my go-to. You hand that to somebody, they spray it on, they wipe it off. It's kind of idiot proof, right? Not that we're idiots or anything, but you know, it's just incredibly hard to screw that up. Where this, I could see if you sprayed it on the car a bunch and you didn't have any water, like I just picked up a puddle of water here in the bottom of the trunk, and I was able to just spread the drying aid out with no streaks. So that works as well, obviously. If you've got a car that's already wet, which Eddie told me that too, spray it on, rinse it off. Kind of like a wet coat, like Geon wet coat or something like that. We'll say I'm a little, I don't know if paranoid's the right word, about wet coat products. From a previous review that I did of something that I'm not gonna put on blast here, but you can definitely tell what panels I've done and what panels I haven't very easily. It's like the slickness, it builds, right? Like I did here, but I didn't do here. I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit more, different dilutions. This video is already too long, so let's wrap it up. So, Nemesis rinseless. It probably has the most cleaning power of any rinseless that I've ever used. That includes Absolute, Hero, 914, O&R, Hydrosave, DIY, any of them, like any of them. And I've used, I don't know, maybe 10 of them at this point. The word best is subjective, but like it's top 3 and it's unique. It's unique enough to stay on my shelf, let's just say that. Now, obviously, I haven't used Clean yet. I've heard good things about it. Up until this point, Hero was my favorite. Hero was my favorite all around, right? It does leave some protection behind, but it does a great job cleaning the car, and it's a great experience to use it. I like McKee's for cleaning furniture, cabinets, countertops, things like that, because it's just so clean and gentle. But this is like clean and clean. It's actually really nice. Like it's so clean. The sponge is really cool. It works very, very, very well. Reminds me a lot of like the DIY Detail sponge or the Rag Company Ultra sponge or the Phoenix EOD sponge. I do like the light blue color, the baby blue. I'd prefer a color like that just to protect my cars, to make sure that I'm not picking up dirt, to make sure that I didn't like grab something on the bottom of a door and now I've got a rock that I'm dragging down the side of my car, right? The release was awesome. I don't see anything floating in the bucket. I like the foaming action. I realized the foaming action was like, they brought it up as like, well, we're going to increase the amount of defoamer that we put in the next mix, but like, I really like it, honestly. So I'll have to try V2 or whatever it would be. The ceramic sealant is another unique product. So maybe that is the trend with this line. Maybe they're trying to do something that's just different, right? And I don't know, I've only tried 2 of the 10 products that I have sitting there, however many there are, 13, something like that. It has a lot of protection, a lot of slickness. It's got great gloss. But you have to be kind of careful when you're using it, right? You have to spray it on the towel, or you have to spray it on, rinse it off, spray it on the towel. It does have a level of forgiveness in that if you make a streak on your hood, you can just spray a little bit on the towel and then wipe that streak right off. So I think it requires just a little bit of knowledge. It's maybe not the easiest thing to just pick up and use, right? Spray it on your towel. Don't spray it on the panel. Most of us with drying aid spray it on a mostly dry car and then dry it off. Now, realistically, if the car was soaking wet and I sprayed it on and wiped it off, it might work well. And we'll test that out when we do a soap wash with the actual soaps that they have. But I don't have streaks. I don't have swirls. I don't have haziness, even on the glass. It did a great job. Even on the black mirror caps, which are glossy black, did a great job.
It's pretty cars, yeah.
Thank you. As far as like usage goes, it just needs a little bit of knowledge. It's got a lot of protection though. I like the slickness. I like the way that it builds. I like the way that you can tell what you've done and haven't done. I think that that's really cool. Again, it's kind of different. You know, it doesn't remind me of Beadmaker or OG Drying Aid or Amplify or anything else. It's just kind of different. The scents. The scents are, they're good. Like, if a product doesn't have a smell, I don't necessarily hold that against them, but if they have a smell that sucks, I do. These smell great. And they're like, just a hint of scent, not too much scent. So I do like that. Talked about this a little bit, so here's what the bottles look like. I think they're handsome, attractive. They look good on your shelf. They all match. Detail Co isn't like bright and flashy and in your face. I do kind of wish that this was black, the ceramic sealant, just the words, ceramic sealant, just so that it popped a little bit more on my shelf, so I didn't have to like go over and read them. Like I'm standing right here, and I know that it says high pH soap, low pH soap, and neutral soap, but those are very hard to read from about 10 feet away. And I've got good vision, you know, 20/20, like standard vision. I don't wear glasses. It's understated to the point that it's a little hard to read. And like this white made in the USA, I could make that out from across. So maybe white would be fine there too. Just, it's nitpicky, right? And I think that we're at that level, right? We're at the nitpicky level. I mean, we're talking about really, really good products, and all you really can do is pick. But yeah, I mean, I could totally use this all the time. And I think that Nemesis is something that I would definitely keep in stock, provided that it doesn't get, you know, changed in a negative manner in an upcoming release, right? My goal is to record another video every day this week. So it's Monday. This is the Tuesday video. We'll see if that actually happens. I guess you'll find out on Wednesday whether I release a video or I don't. I have interior products, interior clean and interior protect to test out. I have the tire products to test out, panel prep, compound to test out, and I have 3 soaps to test out, all in the Detail Co line. I did, like I said, order the clean spray sealant, so I will be able to test out their rinseless and spray sealant together and their shampoo and spray sealant together and see how those work. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this and you want to check out more, click the subscribe button. Helps me out. If you want to check out any of these products for yourself, the link's in the description. If you click on that, you'll get 10% off. I'll get a 10% kickback. It's one of the ways you help to support my channel, and I really, really appreciate that. It's certainly not cheap to do all this stuff. Everything that's here, I bought. This is like a $750 order of different products. Just putting that out there. I spent cash on this. So none of these were sent to me for my review. None of them were, I'm not paid for anything. It's just, I like the stuff. I'm an IT guy that likes to mess around with my cars. So here I am recording a video. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a great day.